From painting to photography, from beadwork to woodworking, KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University presents Art Beat. Art Beat highlights the work and accomplishments of local artists from in and around Winona. Support for Art Beat is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Today on Art Beat, we talk about youth education programs at the Great River Shakespeare Festival with Director of Education Jenn Oswald and Associate Artistic Director Tarah Flanegan. Jenn and Tarah explain how the youth education programs work, what kinds of experiences the students get through the programs, and they even talk about the joy of working with these young creative minds. I'm Bill Stoneberg with Jenn Oswald and Tarah Flanegan from the Great River Shakespeare Festival on Art Beat. I'm here with Jenn Oswald. She's the Director of Education. She works with Shakespeare for Young Designers here at the Great River Shakespeare Festival. How are you doing today, Jenn?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. We thought it was an interesting topic. Shakespeare Festival does this every year, works with young people and, kind of shows them the ropes and gets them into theater and different aspects of it. How did these programs come about?
I mean, it really came from we saw a need and wanted to fill it. Shakespeare for Young Actors is an old program. It's been going on for at least a decade, I believe. And then Shakespeare for Young Designers, which is what I teach, started in 2013 during season 10. And Shakespeare for Young Filmmakers just started last year. So that's a new one. But we are a company that's filled with a lot of really enthusiastic educators and people that are really passionate about saying that theater and Shakespeare in particular is for everybody, and what is the way that we make that accessible and fun and exciting, and these programs are a huge part of how we do that.
So then you mentioned, the Shakespeare for Young Actors, Shakespeare for Young Filmmakers, and then do all the programs kind of work together to make their presentations, or do the actors work with the filmmakers and the designers and such?
Yes and no. The filmmakers run pretty independently. Right now it's just a 2-week program as well, so they run a little bit shorter than young actors and young designers, about 3 weeks. And so they are working on independent projects where they're each group of them are making short films that somehow center on Shakespeare. It's a script that they write and film and produce and do the whole thing. Young actors and young designers are focusing on the same production. So we are all working on Henry V. It's the first time we're doing a history with a bunch of middle and high schoolers, and so far so good. It's actually been really great. But the young designers work to come up with an actualized design for the young actor production that will be going up this Sunday. And then the young designers also each work on an independent project where I say they have their bazillion-dollar budget, and if they can justify it, they can do it. And so we get some pretty wacky and wonderful ideas that I certainly never would have come up with.
Do you have any examples of some of these wacky, wonderful ideas?
Well, this year for Henry V, we have Henry V inspired by Pokemon. Where each character is a different Pokemon that they share characteristics with. And then another one where the entire world is a circus. And so what role would each of the characters play? Should it be a circus? And sort of, right, how do we see that? And how does that represent what's happening between England and France in Henry V's time?
Oh, wow, that's awesome. That's cool how it, you think, well, they're going to learn about Shakespeare and they're going to do Shakespeare plays, but then, in coming up with these ideas, it seems like it's pretty wide open. They can really stretch their creativity.
Yeah, that's the thing. And we all start, particularly in both the actors and young designers, we start by doing scene breakdown. We talk about every single character. By day 3, they know this play. And so that way, when they say, I want to I want to do an entire production designed around the elements, I can say, great, who and why and how, and they have an answer. And if they don't have an answer, that's why they have instructors. And we have that conversation of how does that concept fit into the world? And at Great River, we're a text-based company. And so that means that everything has to go back to the text of Shakespeare, which isn't always the most accessible when you are in 7th through 12th grade and your only introduction to Shakespeare has been sitting in class maybe bored, right? Maybe not, but we talk a lot about how, especially amongst the professional company, the majority of us, our first interaction with Shakespeare was negative. And we want to change that. We're saying that it is for everybody, it is accessible, and it can be fun, and it can be something that you can relate to and see yourself in, or see your favorite Pokemon in.
Right, or your favorite Pokemon. That's great. And we should mention, too, that this weekend is going to be the exposition or presentation of all their hard work this Saturday and Sunday. So I encourage everyone to get to that, and we'll talk about the dates a little later. But, I also wanted to know, how did you become involved as an educator in this program yourself?
Yeah, so I actually started with Great River Shakespeare back in 2013 as a costume intern. So I came here, one, through our intern program, which is fabulous on its own. And then it really just was an environment where it fostered new interests and things that I was excited about. And so I worked in the costume shop up until a couple of years ago, part-time, and then started teaching young designers full-time. I believe this is my 5th year, but Shakespeare for Young Designers is the program that made me interested in education in the first place.
So then, do you work in education outside of the Shakespeare Festival then?
I do, yeah. I am from and based in Chicago, and so I work primarily as a teaching artist there. So lots of freelance, lots of contracting, which is great. And just like here, we kind of get to see different groups of people every single day. It just continues to inform what I do here and what I believe as far as the accessibility of education.
Cool, and that must be rewarding too. You get to see people, kind of young people, grow in their creative endeavors and learn about it. So.
Yeah, absolutely, it's a blast, and especially here. That's the thing. Coming back for I started 7 years ago, and so coming back season after season, it's the kids that were kids are grown-ups and are in college or graduating from college, and that is just a blast. And I think that it's something that is so rare to get to experience in general, sort of seeing them grow up and grow up with them.
That sounds great. So in the design part, are we talking mostly is it costume design? Is it set design? Is it kind of a little bit of everything? How does it work?
It kind of depends on what they are interested in. So we do our scene breakdown at the very beginning, and we talk just about the play and sort of see, what are you drawn to? Are you drawn to the characters? Are you drawn to the space? Are you drawn to the mood of the play in general? And so this year we have students doing costume design, scenic design, and lighting design, which is a new thing, which has just been really exciting to figure out how we create a theoretical lighting design, which is not my background. And so it's meant bringing in a lot of other people who know more than I do and having those conversations. And it's been really, really cool.
Nice. That's awesome. So, and I think it's also neat that they get to kind of their entry point is their own curiosity and their own interest in whatever aspect of the play. So can you kind of walk me through how the workshop progresses throughout the duration of the 2 weeks? What types of things do they start out with, and where do we end up by this weekend?
Yeah, so all the programs run a little bit differently, obviously, depending on their discipline. Young filmmakers is just the 2 weeks, and so they start off with writing and then move into filming and then go into editing. And so our goal with all of these programs is that we are simulating a professional process, which usually don't happen in 3 weeks, so that is always the adventure. But with the young actors, they start off day one, they get to know each other a little bit, they do some skills classes. Day 2, they audition. Day 3, they walk in and get their script with their role. And from there, it is text work with a bunch of different company members. They are rehearsing, they're building, and then they perform, and so it's just they're amazing, and they're middle and high schoolers doing Henry V and fully memorized in 3 weeks. For the young designers, we start off by reading the script. We say, what is the script? What do we know about the script? We learn everything that we can about the script, and then we start to talk about what are your reactions to it, right? What is the mood? What are the things that you're taking away from it? What is the world in which we see this existing? And that's how we get such a wide range of designs. And then they make research boards, so they pull a ton of images and put them all on a board so that I can look at it and go, that's what your design is. And then they start doing either sketching renderings, so costume renderings. If they are a costume designer, they start building a scenic model box, right? What is that set going to look like? What is the space you're giving to a team? And then if it's lighting design, they're creating what we call magic sheets, where they go through scene by scene and talk about what is the mood, what are the colors, are there any sort of special effects, where is the light coming from, right? It's going to be very different if it's overhead red lighting than if you're lighting somebody with bright green from below, or something that's much more neutral than that. And so then we have just a lot of work time. So while the young actors are doing rehearsing day in and day out in different capacities, we're doing that for our designs.
Okay. And then since the lighting design's kind of new, I'm kind of curious, do they actually get to go into the theater and work with the lights then and place them and stuff like that, or?
Not yet. We're still figuring that out. It's been I've been bringing in our lighting interns, have been really, really helpful. And so we went over to the Performing Arts Center. That's a lot of what I try to do for the young designers, right? This is a program that, from what I can tell, is one of maybe just a couple in the country that say, as a young person, there's a space for you in theater that is not on stage. And what are all of the ways that you can do that? And so we spend a lot of time over in the Performing Arts Center where our main stage is and our black box is. And we get tours by our interns, who are the ones who are running the shows, right? They're working professionally, and a lot of them are college students, so they're not too much older than the students in this class, but they're getting paid to do the thing that they want to do. And then later on in the process, we will sit backstage with them for a production of Servant of Two Masters, and they will each shadow a different crew member. And so it's just getting a lot of that exposure while we can't necessarily go in and focus lights and play with the board. 3 weeks is not very much time.
Right. Well, and like you said, it's a new program, so maybe in the future, there'll be a lab or something where you can go in, and yeah, that would be great. So is it, you talked about the different ideas that they come up with once they get to know the play, and in their designing efforts. Is it a lot of individual learning and a lot of individual designing, or is it more of a collaborative effort? Do they go in groups? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a mix, really. So, like I said, they each have their own theoretical independent design, and while they might interact with each other, or a lot of times they'll ask for the opinion of the student next to them, or they show each other. We do a lot of building up presentation skills as well, acknowledging that, one, public speaking and presentation is really hard, but two, that if you're going to do something, particularly something creative, you have to be able to talk about it. And so we do a lot of that very casually with each other, and then build it up so that they're ready to do it for the community and the company members on that final Sunday.
Nice. Kind of build up their confidence, kind of slow and easy.
Yeah.
Great. So how far away do students come from for these programs? You mentioned that this is probably one of a handful. Do they come from far and wide, or how's that go?
Right now, everybody is Minnesota or just outside Minnesota based. We do have folks both in this program as well as the other programs for middle and high schoolers, and we have Will's Power Players, which is for kids age 4 through 6th grade, which each just runs 1 week. And we have people who come back to Winona Winona for a week or 2 or 3 weeks, or stay with family in town just so that they can do these programs. Whether that's because they moved away and want to be able to continue to do them, and so they, find a way to stay with old friends, or sometimes they just come and they stay with their parents for a week-long vacation and come to class each day. So we would one day love to be able to bring in kids from across the country, and I've gotten emails from parents from kids that are much further away, but right now we don't have a way to house them. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can take care of that in the future. That'd be neat to see, So how many students are we talking in a classroom? Are there multiple classes for design, or just like a one class that goes, or?
Yeah, it's just one class. So one class of actors, one class of designers, one class of filmmakers, and then Will's Power Players, again, just one of those each week. And Will's Power Players I didn't talk much about, but really acts just as an introduction to Shakespeare and an introduction to play and sort of scripted play. And so we just have one section for each of those. Young Designers has 8 students this year. Young Actors has 12. Young Filmmakers has 11. So we usually hover kind of right around 10 to 15, which is perfect. It's just enough to, really create an ensemble and really collaborate, but small enough that we can still give them that independent attention that makes these programs what they are.
Right. Oh, it sounds like a great program, I'd love to see it expand and have, people come from all over. How much does the program cost for kids?
Yeah, our 3-week program, so Young Designers and Young Actors, each cost $450. Young Filmmakers right now at 2 weeks is $350, and then Will's Power Players runs $195, depending on which program it is. We do give a discount if you do multiple weeks. And we do have scholarships available. A good bulk of our students are receiving some kind of financial aid, and both myself as the Director of Education and Great River as a whole really fundamentally believe that these programs should be accessible to anybody and everybody. So we have never turned down a student based on financial restrictions, and we're always willing to have the conversation of, this is what we can do, does that work for you? And then figuring it out. And we do get donations that are specifically directed towards scholarships, and we can always use more of those because we want to be able to give students the experience while still keeping the value that we place on these classes.
Right. So if someone wanted to donate specifically for the summer youth programming, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, it would work just as a donation to the festival, and then if you wanted to direct it towards scholarships specifically, you can just make a note on your donation and we'll consider those restricted funds. So it's something that we can't move around to use for something else if that's what you really want your money to go towards.
Great. Well, this is a great program. I encourage anyone out there who's interested to help out and, make sure these kids can experience this. So as kind of a leader of the program, and an educator, what's the most challenging thing that you see, that you have to deal with?
I think we just get such a wide range of students. I have students who are in my class who've been doing it for 3 years or 4 years. And same thing with the young actors. Some of them started in that class when they were in 7th grade, and now they're in 12th. And so it's incredible to see that growth. And I talked about that earlier. But it does mean that sometimes you get students in here who have never seen a play or never seen a Shakespeare play, at least. And so we're starting at finding, level 0 and what do we need to do to make sure that they are prepared, but still challenging the students who know this stuff, who have been doing text work since before I started working here. And so it's really just about finding that balance, I think, in all of the classes. And we have a really, really great team. Tarah Flanegan, who's been with the festival for years and years, has been in charge of Shakespeare for Young Actors for a very long time. And so she brings in her best people when she needs to as well. And we're really just all very committed to giving our students exactly what they need to be successful. And so we're constantly collaborating even between programs to make sure that we're doing that and make sure that we are preparing them and supporting them and challenging them.
Well, it sounds like they're good challenges, kind of that would lead to rewards. So, like, what's the most rewarding part? Can you maybe think of a time or a specific instance where you're like, oh, wow, this is why I do this?
Particularly actually, this would apply to both young designers and young actors. We have, over the years, had a few different students who came in who were just terrified, which is fair, right? We talk about how public the final presentation of this is, and that's scary for anybody. And we're expecting them to do so when they've never talked in front of a large group before necessarily. And there have been a couple different times in both programs where we've had a student who just the whole program, we're doing the thing, they're doing the work, but as instructors, we're nervous. We're not sure what's going to happen when it comes time for them to get on stage or to talk to people in the lobby. And I have never not been impressed with that final presentation. Never, ever. I've had so many, where I'm looking over and I'm like, are they okay? Are they, okay? And then they're chatting away. And, I think they're talking more than they talked in the 3 weeks of the program. And it's, I don't know exactly what you can attribute that to, except that we're building an environment where they can be themselves and they know that we will not let them down. And that's a huge part of it, is just that we're making the space for them to grow.
It sounds like through the program, they not only learn about, designing or acting or filmmaking, but it sounds like they learn skills and experiences that'll carry them through other, aspects of life.
Yeah, that's the goal. I was just talking to a group the other day and I said, we want to make good designers and we want to make good actors and good filmmakers and good whatever the thing is, but we mostly want to make them good people. There's a tagline that's been going around Great River Shakespeare for years and years, and that it's the place, it's so unique that making good art and being a good person are part of the same thing. And that we fundamentally believe that at the festival as a whole, is that when good people make good art, the art is better and the space is better. And I think that we believe that in our classes as well, is that, we want you to support each other, we want you to do good work, and we want you to grow as a person and put on a play. Right. But that while so inherent to the process and the product, is secondary to just creating the space.
I think that goes along with a lot of things in life. Really, you think it's about one thing, but really it's about, it sounds cliche, but about the journey to get there is where you really learn, So, this year's program is already underway. Like we said, there's going to be their presentations this coming weekend. If there's parents or kids out there listening that are interested in participating next year, how would they go about doing so?
Yeah, you can visit our website, which is grsf.org, and you can also just send me an email. It's education@grsf.org. My name is Jenn Oswald, and I'd be happy to answer any questions between now and next summer and get folks involved.
Excellent. So if anyone out there is interested, email Jenn or just go to the website. So be sure to get out to the showcase. It's at the Performing Arts Center this weekend, the July 27th and 28th. So the Shakespeare for Young Filmmakers happens at the Front Porch event on Saturday, correct? And how does that go down and what time?
Yeah, so it's going to be Saturday at 11 a.m. in our Black Box Theater. Every Saturday we have these Front Porch events where we bring different groups in and have different conversations that we find relevant to the season. So this Saturday it's going to be the young filmmakers premiering their different films that they've been making over the past few weeks. And then we are also bringing in a group from Shakespearean Youth Theater, which is Minneapolis-based, and we've been collaborating with for the last couple of years. And they're going to be performing full production of Two Gentlemen of Verona in that 2-hour range.
Okay, great. And then Shakespeare for Young Actors and Shakespeare for Young Designers, that happens on Sunday then?
Yes, it does. So starting at 5 p.m., our young designers will be set up in the lobby. They'll each have their own space with all of their research boards and things that they've been creating. And at 6 p.m., we will start the young actors performance in the theater of the Performing Arts Center.
Okay, fantastic. Well, like I said, I encourage everyone to get out and see the end result of all the hard work that these young kids do, and it's a great experience for them, it sounds like. So, let's support them. And like I said, if anyone wants to donate, go to the website, email Jenn. I've been talking to Jenn Oswald. She's Director of Education here at the Great River Shakespeare Festival, and she also works with Shakespeare for Young Designers. So thanks so much for being on the show today, Jenn.
Thank you. This was fun.
And now we're joined by Tarah Flanegan. She's the Associate Artistic Director here at the Great River Shakespeare Festival, and she's one of the co-directors for Shakespeare for Young Actors. Thanks for being with us today, Tarah.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. Like Jenn and I were talking earlier that it's a really neat program, and we just kind of wanted to let the public know and kind of, inform people who might be interested in the program and also who might want to check out the performance happening this weekend. So, Tarah, how did the programs kind of start and come about?
Our founding artistic director, Paul Barnes, came to one of our acting company members, Andrew Carlson, about 12 years ago and asked him to create a training program for young people in the area. And so Andrew started with skills classes in acting, movement, voice and speech, and Shakespeare, and the students performed a series of scenes and monologues. We did that for 2 seasons, and after 2 seasons, the students came to Andrew and said, we want to do an entire play. We want to tackle an entire play by Shakespeare. So that 3rd season was the first year we approached an entire play. They still take skills classes. We teach them everything the professional actors do in terms of understanding Shakespeare, parsing it. We do what's called scansion work, which is figuring out how the verse informs the character, look up every single word in our Shakespeare lexicon so they really, really know what they're saying and understand the process of the professional actors. We do a cut-down version of a Shakespeare play, but we're not changing any of it. We're not dumbing down the language. It's the real deal. It's just a shortened version. And then we very quickly rehearse, perform, study. So we put this all up in about 3 weeks. The student actors are working with professional actors and directors from the company. They learn stage combat. They learn voice and speech. Sometimes they learn dance. Again, it's really centered on Shakespeare. And at the end of 3 weeks, they get a performance.
Cool, which we will see this weekend. So I don't think Jenn and I talked about this, but can the kids participate in both, like Shakespeare for Young Actors and Designers, or actors and filmmakers, or can they participate in all of them at once? Or
we run our program simultaneously. So right now we're not able to allow students to participate in both. Last year the schedules didn't entirely line up, and so I believe we had one student who was able to do both filmmakers and designers. But this year, we're running all 3 programs for 3 weeks, and we run them simultaneously. We do have students who might do designers 1 year and then pop over to actors another year and then graduate to filmmakers the 3rd year. So we definitely have students who are interested in all 3 areas and come back year after year and try out different things.
Nice. So there's always an opportunity to move into other areas and try everything out, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. So I'm kind of curious, Tarah, you've been doing this for quite some time. Can you remember a moment that made you really proud of your students, or that you went, oh, aha, this is why I do this,
Every year. It happens every year. I'm exhausted and I think there's no way we can pull this off, and then every year they pull it off. Because we tend to have students return year after year, sometimes we'll have a big group come through together and then they'll all graduate at the same time. So our numbers go up and down. And there was one year where we had 23 students, followed by a year where we had 9. And I thought, oh my gosh, how are we going to do? I had chosen Romeo and Juliet. We had 9 students and 1 student who wanted to work as a stage manager. So I was teaching her a little bit about how to do that work on our production. And I just thought, I don't know how they're going to do this. Juliet had to play Juliet and had to come in the first scene and play a small character named Gregory. Our actress who played Romeo had to play it all the way through, and everybody else had to play multiple roles. And I just thought, there's just no way in 3 weeks they can memorize this, they can absorb and synthesize all of this information. I had to ask the stage manager to pop into one scene and just play a very small character because I couldn't figure out how to make it work otherwise, and she did. And and they pulled it off, and they did all of Romeo and Juliet, like an hour and 45-minute version of Romeo and Juliet in 3 weeks. It was amazing.
Oh, wow. So they really pull together, and, it sounds like there's, even if they're not familiar with Shakespeare yet or anything, but it seems like there's a real passion, that goes along with these students, and that their interesting curiosity is probably the driving force.
I think so, for sure. I mean, I don't know about you, but my introduction to Shakespeare was in high school, and it wasn't super positive. I wasn't very successful in reading it, and because I wasn't successful reading it, I didn't enjoy it. And it wasn't until I went to drama school and I had a Shakespeare teacher sort of give me the keys of the castle as far as how to unlock the magic of Shakespeare that I really began to develop an appreciation. And these are tools that anybody can learn, and so you pass them along to young people, and you see their eyes light up, their faces light up when it starts to make sense to them, and they feel so empowered. I'm not necessarily trying to turn anybody into a professional actor, but again, just as you say, like really stoking their curiosity, their hunger to learn. We're trying to build self-esteem through setting a really high bar, a really high standard of work, and working together as a team. And you just watch them, you watch their confidence grow, their empathy grow, their ability to help other people and take joy in other people's work grow. And if we can accomplish a little bit of that in our time here, then our time is well spent.
Right. Well, and like Jen and I were talking earlier that, it seems like the whole experience that they have going through these programs, it's not just to, design a costume or a set or act in a play. It really, I think, kind of gives them life skills that they can use in other avenues, probably, right?
For sure. You have to work together as a team. There is a time limit. You have to work to a deadline. The show opens, and you have to be ready to go. You can't, I say this all the time, you can't practice theater as an individual sport. It is a team sport. You cannot do it on your own. It won't work. And so that's really something that they get to experience. And then Shakespeare, the brilliance of Shakespeare and why we're still interested in his plays has less to do with the fanciness of them and more to do with his ability to articulate what it is to be a human. And so that's our business much of the day, is unpacking what it is to be a person in this world. Everything that's good, everything that's complicated, everything that's messy. And I think for young people, their experiences that they're having now make a really deep impression on them. And so we would like to be a force for creating really good experiences for young people. Not necessarily easy experiences, but really meaningful experiences.
Great. Well, it sounds like a wonderful program. And like I've said before, I encourage everyone to get out this weekend and see the showcases. And then the showcases are this Saturday and Sunday, the 27th and 28th. The Filmmakers is at the Front Porch event on Saturday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other two are Sunday evening, I believe, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I've been talking to Tarah Flanegan. She's the Associate Artistic Director here at the Great River Shakespeare Festival, and she's also one of the co-directors for Shakespeare for Young Actors. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for your interest. I really appreciate it.
Thanks again to Director of Education Jenn Oswald and Associate Artistic Director Tarah Flanegan for joining us today on Artbeat. Remember to check out the showcases for the youth education programs this weekend. The showcases will be held this Sunday, July 28th, starting at 5 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center on the Winona State University campus. For more information, go to grsf.org. For more conversations on art, tune into Artbeat Tuesdays at 12:30 right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've been talking about youth education programs at the Great River Shakespeare Festival with Director of Education Jenn Oswald and Associate Artistic Director Tarah Flanegan on Artbeat.
Artbeat is written and produced by KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us on the web at kqal.org.
Is art an important part of your life? Find podcasts of Artbeat and all your favorite KQAL shows by going to kqal.org and looking for program archives under the Media tab. Artbeat is made possible by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.